Hi everyone, and big thank you to the admins for putting on a great event for OT Week. It's really great to be involved. Thank you so much. So I had a couple of questions and I wanted to share my thoughts. Firstly, I wanted to say that clinical supervision is different to coaching, and I absolutely recommend that all OTs have regular clinical supervision. Coaching is an approach that may be used within supervision, where the supervisor has the skills to do so and where the supervisee has requested that and is comfortable with that. Coaching is not supervision. Yeah, so always a place for clinical supervision, because clinical supervision is what helps uncover what you don't know, which is critical in patient-client safety. So sometimes, though, we do look to our peers for informal advice, treatment ideas, for debriefs, to have a bit of a dump, a bit of a brain dump, for a laugh, potentially for a cry, and for a shoulder to lean on. And sometimes we just want someone to listen to us, purely to listen and to empathise with what we're experiencing. We also engage, as I said, in formal clinical supervision, and we all tend to have line management relationships. So we should have a relationship with someone who we report to if we're not the owner or director of our own practice. They're all key relationships, and they should all be present in an OT's professional working life, in my view. Coaching and peer coaching, as I've discussed tonight, is one tool in a toolkit. It's like one room in the suite of professional supports for an OT. And I'm aware that it's possibly a tool that some people may not have heard much about or considered, hence why I was really grateful to have the opportunity to share my thoughts tonight. So I received a question as to the best ways to develop ongoing coaching culture in your team or practice or company. And I would say that one of the best ways, and I've seen it in my working life, is for senior leaders in the organisation or the practice to invest in coaching for themselves, because then you get to feel what coaching is and how it's different to supervision or a supportive chat. And when you experience coaching yourself over time, you'll start to role model a coaching approach in your day-to-day relationships, but also learn more about coaching more formally. If you do decide to invest in coaching for yourself because you want to roll out a coaching culture and you're a senior leader, consider coaching with someone who has a qualification in coaching, and you'll then know that you're experiencing coaching as it's intended, and have the opportunity to talk about the needs for coaching in your organisation. So then the coaching culture can be flowed, throughout the organisation from the very top. And honestly, it does need to be at the very top to go through, even though grassroots coaching can happen. I think, really to have a cohesive coaching culture throughout the practice, you've got to have the senior people in believing in it and, believing that there's value. Otherwise, why would you want that coaching culture? So you can flow a coaching culture through the organisation a number of ways. You can identify someone as a coach within the practice, and that person delivers the coaching to your people. I would recommend that person would have specialised skills and experience and is receiving their own supervision in coaching. If you don't have that person internally yet, you could seek it externally while you build that capacity internally. I would look at training for your managers, your team leaders, your supervisors, those people in leadership roles. I would train them in using a coaching approach in their roles. Not that their roles is to be a coach, but that within their roles, they have the opportunity to then use a coach approach when it's appropriate. So, for example, I've delivered training in using coaching in line management relationships. and coaching in supervision relationships. I do actually, incidentally, I recommend that all clinical supervisors access formal training in supervision as well. So back to coaching, coaching can occur in line management and supervision relationships where it's appropriate. So I think if you train the people in those roles in coaching, it just adds another really valuable skill in their toolkit that they can draw on. So once you have clinical supervision in place for all your staff, I would recommend consider the opportunity to invest in professional coaching separately to supervision. So you can do this with a coach who has a background in the area of work that you do, or someone who is a leadership coach, an executive coach, a professional coach. You don't actually need a common shared context to coach effectively. However, I do understand that people like to feel like the person that they're connecting with has some experience of what they're doing. So look for someone who is a member of the International Coaching Federation or is accredited with the International Coaching Federation. And I'll talk more about that, why you do that in a minute. So anyway, why would you invest in professional coaching for someone in your company? Look, perhaps you want to offer something extra because this is a very talented person and you want to retain them and you want them to continue to grow within your practice. Perhaps they're moving into a leadership role, such as supervising or managing others, and you really want to support them as they make that transition and are now involved in leading others. Perhaps you recognise some particular challenges in their personal and professional lives that's an extra burden for them to carry while working with the client group that we do, and you want to support them, but you don't want to become over-involved. You want there to be a separation from your role as their manager or the practice owner or their supervisor or their friend, their colleague, but you would like to work with them to provide some extra support. Or perhaps you are actually an OT who would like to invest in your own career and you'd appreciate a trained facilitator in doing that who's objective and who's not necessarily part of where you're working at the moment, but understands the sort of work that you do, and at the end of the day, they're there solely for you. They have no other agenda but supporting you. I also received a question about, do you need to do additional coaching training? So tonight I've been talking about peer coaching and providing a taste of what peer coaching can look like and feel like. So it's my belief that people can experience benefits of peer coaching by understanding some of the key principles of coaching, some of which are covered in the talk, and practicing coaching very intently and reflecting upon their coaching. It also helps, I think, to regularly seek feedback when you're starting out, in fact, all the way along, but particularly when you're starting out from your coachee, to reflect on your sessions as well yourself, either using a reflective journal or by asking for permission to record your sessions on video and watching them back. And also having an experienced and qualified coach to supervise you. But yes, I do believe that if you understand the core principles and you engage in a learning journey around peer coaching, that you can provide value in that area. Absolutely, you can do additional coaching training, and I'm sure that would only enhance your effectiveness as a peer coach. Look, if you're a person who loves supporting others and you tend to find you often move into those roles in OT circles, I would encourage you to think about additional training in coaching. I think you would find it really interesting and potentially really helpful. If you wish to formally coach others, or you're a clinical supervisor, you're a mentor, or certainly if you're a manager or a team leader, you line manage other professionals, then yes, I would recommend additional coaching training. OTs, Look, OTs do use a coaching approach with their clients in PEDS and in other clinical areas. However, there's so much more to learn about coaching in collegial relationships and in workplace professional settings that can really enhance your effectiveness in building capacity of your team that you're working with, your professional team. So I think it deserves its own spotlight, just as coaching with our clients does. I believe this is a really interesting area of workforce development for OTs. And the last question I received was, if someone wanted to develop coaching skills, what would you recommend? So as you probably picked up, I would heartily recommend that they look for a course that's accredited by the International Coaching Federation. So coaching is an unregulated profession. There are many people that identify themselves as a coach. And you've probably heard of, a whole range of those. And there's many training providers out there as well, offering to teach you to become a coach. So by looking for a course that's accredited with the ICF, the International Coaching Federation, or if you've already got a provider in mind, asking them, is your course accredited with the ICF? You can have a level of quality assurance and assurance that the course will cover important aspects. So the code of ethics, for example, core coaching competencies, such as the use of written coaching agreements, when not to coach, which is pretty crucial, and of course all the skills in coaching presence, coaching mindset, facilitating coachee growth. There's a whole lot of competencies a course needs to evidence in order to become accredited. So you can go to the International Coaching Federation website at coachingfederation.org. That's coachingfederation.org to find a course in your state. I would recommend, if at all possible, doing an in-person course. Obviously, we're learning a lot online at the moment. If there's the opportunity, I would go for in-person. You just get, I think, so much more, particularly when you're learning, and you're developing your initial skills in coaching in this way. Do as much coaching as you can to develop your skills. Be intentional about, I'm doing some coaching now, and I have a coaching relationship with this person. I would also recommend investing in regular coaching supervision, including video review of your coaching sessions. So someone else is actually watching you coach and providing supervision on that basis. That will really help develop your skills. You can study coaching at postgraduate level in Australia too, if you're interested in that. So I hope this information is helpful. Thank you so much for your thoughtful questions. It's great to hear what you're wondering about. I really welcome your feedback on what I've shared. It's obviously just my thoughts and perspective, and I know we're a broad church in OT, and I welcome additional perspectives as well. Please do, send me a private message or email me any further queries, comments, feedback. Love to hear any of that. That will help me grow. And my email address is contact@louellafrost.com.au. So thanks again very much to the Facebook group, and see you next OT week.